we're gonna start with our chair. So pull that into your equation. You know, I always just say chair. Not everybody uses a chair. Doesn't have to be a chair. It could be you're sitting on the edge of your coffee table, right? Your ottoman, just something that makes you feel like it's not too low. And we're gonna get into a little bit of our side body opening. So just get yourself comfortably perched. I am gonna put the ball into the mix towards the end of class, right? Here we go. So you're trying to rotate your trunk and slide into this little bit of an angle. Don't go too far too soon. The other arm can start pulling up the body if that feels good. When you get that arm going up, right? If you need to shorten the lever and make your elbow your driver, what I want the bigger emphasis on is what your arm, as it connects to your leg, that arm has a job and it's used to kind of pry the leg open, create pressure with it. And that helps you get your rotation with a little bit more control, right? We're not leaving anything to chance. Pry the leg open, twist the trunk, turn the head, reach the arm up if you can. And as if that weren't enough, did your shoulders automatically pull down where they're supposed to be so that you feel like you've got this tug of war happening from high to low hand, but your neck is free, right? Release, do one more each side. What I love about the reference of getting your shoulders out of your ears is that sometimes you don't even realize that that's where they're just naturally sitting until you start sliding them down and you go, how is it that they're always up there, right? Stress, tension, push it down, reach, turn your head, look at your high hand palm, right? Or maybe your arm is bent and it's the elbow. Give some good push power with this down arm against the leg. Slide out of it one more time. Here we go. Pry it open, twist the trunk. The spine is long, right? Open it up. Shoulders, pull them down and release. Whew. Going right into our little hip stretch. It's not going to be our 90-90 though. I want you to lift that top leg, doesn't matter which one. See how I'm manipulating it? I've got my spine in C curve. I'm trying to get these two limbs to be as tightly crossed as I can get them. Now, can you take front leg and wrap your foot around the back of the stable leg? Maybe your knee won't let you. That's fine. We're just, if you can, just sit here like this for a moment, right? If you can't, right, then this grounded leg is going to move on an angle because you're going to twist towards your high leg, get your length, and just come into your forward lean. If your foot is wrapped, you are also going to slide the leg over, which is going to make your body feel like it's just getting this little twist and tug. You do whatever makes you feel like you're not going to fall out of your chair, but having that back, having this high leg wrapped around the back of your anchor leg, the stretch should be coming across your, like through the SI joint as well as the hip. For me, because I can actually really get my body like contorted, I don't have an isolated stretch just in one spot. Like there's a bunch of things happening. Pull up, unwrap. If when you lift your leg and you cross the middle, if what you feel is pinching like in the groin, that's what I would relate to as like impingement, right? Because there's something that is bound up, it's not tracking right. And all I want you to do is I want you to just try to keep working the leg until like stretch it out, pull it back over, stretch it out. Like you try to keep working your limb until you can get a crossed over position without tension. So where are you? Can you wrap the foot? Regardless of whether or not the foot is wrapped, the leg is moving across you because you're going to twist and you're going to lean into the side of the high leg. There we go. Ooh. This might seem like too extreme right out of the gate, but these are just continue to be some of my favorite stretches. I love doing this stretch from a seated position, and it's just really hard for most people to even get into the like crisscross legs from seated. So the chair makes it super applicable. Come up, ease out of it. Okay, think draping our body over the chair. So just slide to one side, let the hips kind of come off the chair, right? Pull your top leg forward as you're getting into position, just so that you don't feel like you're going to fall out of your space. You tip over. You don't even have to worry about your feet connected to the floor. Okay. Your down arm, it can give you as much support as you want. This high leg isn't going to stay forward. That was just to get you down here with minimal stress. Okay. So start pulling the bottom leg forward and push the top leg back, and then just let it hang, right? Just find your shimmied position where you're getting enough support. Does your top arm, can that get worked into the equation where it's just coming into a stretch? Again, hand to shoulder and then letting the elbow be the driver. Though you're supported, the head is now our low point, right? And if you feel yourself like getting a little too spacey, give yourself, let that bottom hand be your prop, right? So that you're not head hanging and you can still get the benefit of some of the hip stretch, even if you're backed out of the movement. Okay. If your arm is in a more supported position, then like usual, we're checking in. Where is our head posture in relation to the shoulder, right? So I'm gently sweeping this leg front and back to let my body settle in. I don't need the extra prop. It actually feels good for me to be able to take both hands, wrap them around my head, and then just let my legs have a little freedom. Okay, holding for about 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2. Okay, ready? Bottom hand, start letting it push. Grab hold of your chair, whatever you're using, pull your knees towards each other. Use your strong arms. There's going to be that tipping point where you can separate the legs again and get out of it. That creates so much spatial, like, ooh. So if you're spinning, stop, let your body completely regain its like equilibrium before you shimmy to the other side. Okay, here we go. Just real quick, if now you're going into side 2, wishing that you weren't going into side 2, stand up. Okay, and I want you to put weight on the side of your body that was going to be getting the stretch and just do this. This is modified, super modified. It's very isolated. It's a little bit of a less stretch than the body draping, but you'll, right? So you already know if you don't want to be going into side 2. Here we go. Bottom leg needs to pull forward. Top leg, imagine that someone's just going to grab that leg, pull it back. How much support do you need? If you're supporting with your arm, pay close attention to your neck, right? Glide the shoulders down and retract. And then are you in enough of a chair support position where you can free up your hands because your head is heavy, right? And for me, from right to left side, it really feels like my head is sitting on someone else's body from right to left side. It just feels like this is a stretch I haven't done right on this side, although we know I have because I do it with you guys every time. Wow. I'm teaching myself some new mobility moves, and the practice of these new moves keeps reminding me how dominant one side of our body is. Ease yourself out of that, right? Strong arms, don't move too suddenly. Push up, push up, push up. All right. Okay, take your time. You're going to get up, move your chair out of the equation. So these mobility moves are essentially taking the base move of plow, right? You guys may or may not even know what that reference is, but plow. Plow is a version of rolling like a ball, right? So imagine rolling like a ball, but then actually being able to roll all the way over. So instead of like a cartwheel, it's like a reverse cartwheel. And I'm mastering it. What are you doing? Stretch out strap. Your strap doesn't have to be in half. I just have mine halved because I don't need all of the strap, but you need to let out enough strap so that your arms don't fight. And here's where I want you to start. See how bent my arm is? And I'm just drawing the strap around, right? So you start bent so you can let those shoulders figure out, right? Are you okay with it? And the more okay your shoulder is, the straighter you get to keep your arm. The end range on the back end of the movement is not here, right? So let out enough strap so that you can get all the way down. And if you are down, but then can't get the arm to come back up straight, then you bend at the elbow, bend it, bend it, bend it, bring it all the way around, right? So I don't want you to feel like you're hurting yourself, right? It feels good for me to have some of them straight, some of them bent, right? With them straight, like I'm pulling on that strap, right? Here we go. Take it the other way. All right, bend it, bring it around. Try not to knock yourself in the head. When the arm moves around your body and then the second arm comes up, like it's an interesting thing not to smack yourself in the back of your head with the strap. Like, how do you avoid that? Why is it that we short that move a little bit and end up hitting ourselves? So do your very best to get all the way down to the end and then bend and bring it around. And your body doesn't have to stand like pencil stiff. Like it feels good to twist through it, like you're in a door frame, right? And you're pushing your arms to one side of the frame and the hips go to the other side of the frame. Think about that space, right? Push the hips to one side, push the arms to the other side, get around your body. Do one more. Press, pull back, push, and release. Okay. And now, don't let that get too far away because we're going to use it again. So I want you to think about your foot strength. Okay, we haven't done this one for a while. We need to put our mat down unless you're on a hardwood floor or tile, right? chances are if you lay your towel down on carpet, your towel isn't going to go anywhere. So if you could put your mat down and then put your towel on it. Last week, we were doing some focus on rolling the bottom of the foot, right? Stretching the calves. And I wanted to get back to the strengthening of the foot. So many of you have done this with me. Okay, stand on one foot, take the leg. The front leg is the working leg. The legs don't have to be straight or bent. It's whatever stance makes you feel comfortable. Okay, but my towel isn't going to go anywhere. It's got some nubbies on the bottom of it, which it's almost like Velcro. So had I put it on carpet or the mat, it wouldn't have mattered. If I put it on my floor, I could move it. But what you're trying to do is lift the foot in this nice flexed position, spread the toes, keep the toes spread, clamp down on your towel. And if you're able to get some creases in your towel, your toes are gripping those creases and you're trying to draw the towel in. Because my towel's not moving, it would make it seem like I'm actually not even doing what I'm saying that you should be doing. I already know my towel isn't going to move. But in an ideal position, my towel would be getting like bunched up. So we're going to do about 10 more of these, okay? Let your foot have a random rotation pattern to it, right? Don't keep drawing in the same spot. And every time you're trying really hard, how do you create like a little pucker in the towel so that your foot can have something to grab, right? It's crazy. So even though my towel isn't bunching up, I absolutely feel my foot working. And release. Other side. That was probably a good 20 of them, okay? So we're gonna not only do the activation, if you have that golf ball, tennis ball, I just feel like the tennis ball has a little too much squish to it, so it might not work really well. But your water bottle, your dumbbell, if your dumbbell has a nice round edge instead of the hexagonal angle edge to it, will roll. So we're strengthening, and then we're actually going to roll the bottoms of our feet. Okay, here we go. And I found that that golf ball really does get in there nicely. So if you got one of those around, if you know somebody that golfs, right? They make all of these like these dowels, little 6-inch little dowel that's shaped and got rings on it. Specifically, there are so many gadgets out specifically for rolling the bottom of your feet. Okay, and release. That really seemed silly. It didn't seem like I got anywhere. I hope some of you were able to get your towel puckered up and to pull that towel in, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So grab your little ball or your can, your water bottle, like hopefully you've got something. And if you feel like you need to get close to your chair or some support, then put yourself there, right? The only wrong when it comes to like treating the fascia, it's based on, in my humble opinion, like a sensory intensity, right? We are all able to endure different levels of intensity. And so you have to, it's scalable. On a scale of 1 to 5, if what you feel is off the charts, then change where you're rolling on your foot because that's too intense. That means that your foot really needs to be treated, but treated and traumatized are like It's such a fine line. So maybe you start at your heel and maybe you can't even roll because your feet are so sensitive. And all you can do is just apply pressure and then move to the next spot and apply pressure. If you're not feeling anything, then you probably have the wrong gadget, right? So if with the tennis ball, it's just too squishy, you don't feel anything, then maybe you try the water bottle. Oh, wow, that is just so nice. Other side. And after class, I'm super curious to see how Peggy's feet did with all of her playing. She did let me know that the as the powers that be, she did not end up playing pickleball that night. So I think she probably had a good setup for Thursday morning tennis. Oh, I played some horrible pickleball on Saturday. There were so many people at the court that literally it was a 15 to 20-minute wait between each game. So because so many people were there, it didn't matter if you lost or won. 4 people to a court, you play your game, 4 in, 4 out, and then to know that you hope you're just rolling, exploring space all the way up to the ball of the foot, all the way to the heel, change the angle, how your foot is connecting with whatever gadget you're using. And if you are like, yeah, I don't even have any of those gadgets, Michelle, so I'm just standing here waiting for you to get to the next phase. We're almost there, okay? So yeah, I was very disappointed that the first game's always like, the first game generally doesn't go well because the body is like trying to get into the rhythm of it. And just as like you're kind of getting into the rhythm of it, game ends, you're off the court, and now you're doing nothing for 20 minutes, release and relax. This is why I show up to the courts with my towel, my bands, because when I have to wait, I don't just sit there. I continue to enforce treatment on my body. And it didn't help though. The extra treatment didn't give me any better playing. Back to your chair into the equation, put it on the end of your mat or not. Think bridge. Bridge as a means of stretching the low back. So we're going to do a couple of variations here. You're going to just slide yourself down nice and tight towards your object, lay back, legs up, take a few seconds, get everything. This might be, oh man, I need that pillow too. I don't know. I'm just going to bunch up my little ponytail hair and let that be my head support. So since we are going into bridge, don't use too much of a head support, because as soon as your hips start lifting off the floor, you're going to find that your neck settles into a position with ease. So gently draw the chin to the chest, pull your abs into your spine. And I want you, as you do that, to feel the hips go into their slight pelvic tilt. And now press the feet into the chair or whatever you're using. Gently lift the hips, just barely, put them back down. Let the spine rock so that the hips, it's called an anterior tilt. Your hips tip forward, which creates a space between your back and the floor. And then POST, posterior tilt, that's your pelvic tilt, where now the low back is touching the mat and you're peeling your hips from the floor. If immediately these muscles in the backs of your legs fire up and into like cramp mode, set the hips back down, stretch the leg, because that's all you can do is to relieve that muscle by lengthening it, okay? So here we go. Now I've given you what to do if your muscles cramp. Navel to spine, peel the hips from the floor, and every time we go up, I want you to just rise a little bit higher. As you come down, let the back come down one vertebrae at a time, nice and slow. Get to complete touchdown. Rock the hips so that your low back lifts gently from the floor, and then put it back down, belly to spine. Peel the body up. If your head is tilted and you're looking behind you, pause your body and realign your head to its correct position so that you're scanning the front of your thighs, and then resume your lift. Now, as you come down, it's really important. Keep your pelvic tilt so that your vertebrae connect before the tailbone, right? So you want to get that low back down and then let the back rest flat, and then arch the back. Set it back down. This is your last one. Keep trying to draw your chin to your chest. Slow peeling, 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 peeling. Get there. Everything is just hovering. You're stable. Your hamstrings are working. Your buns are fired up. Like, why are we firing up our buns? This is supposed to be stretch class, right? This might be the only activation you intentionally do for these things today, right? Bring it down. Oh my gosh, you all. I hung out with my friends on Saturday. There's a group of us. Separate your feet. So I've known the girls for 20 years. We are taking, I've moved my feet to as wide as my chair will let my feet go. And this is your little bit of your windshield wiper stretch. Okay, so you're just rolling the hips gently. As you roll the hip, can you draw this trailing leg? Can you draw the inside of the knee towards the chair edge? That is internal hip rotation, right? Bring it up. Swivel the hips, let that inside knee float towards the chair edge or the heel of the other foot. Up, a couple more times. So the activity was top golf. Okay, I'm not a golfer. I mean, I've only ever played putt-putt like 3 times ever. I can just know that golf wouldn't be my sport. I was very dangerous with the golf ball in the club and hitting 20 balls. So 20 balls essentially was a game. It took 2 hours for 6 of us to roll through 20 balls each and come out of it and roll all the way to one side. And I did score some points, but I have to tell you, it was not pretty. I took some swings where I really did think I was going to connect with the ball that I didn't even connect with anything. And you know, when you're committed to it, like it then spun me around. Like I had so much force going with my swing that literally I was doing circles on the turf. It was just the most ridiculous thing. But I had to let my pride and ego go because my body had there was nothing familiar about it to me. So I couldn't reference. I couldn't even reference like what the arms were supposed to feel like. It was just miserable. I had a blast, but my skill was miserable. Okay, come belly down. So I thought, my friends were like, so do you think you'll take up golf lessons? And I was like, for what? Like what? So I can come back to Top Golf and play better Top Golf. I was like, I don't have time or resources to commit. We're going into modified Cobra and then to Cobra. Okay, so here we go. Pull the elbows back, settle the hips in, get the shoulders out of the ears. 2 actions. We don't just want to retract the shoulders, you want to slide them down, and that is called depression. So you have depression and retraction, those two things, and find that, see if it doesn't happen to you too, okay? So as you glide the shoulders into their depressed position, and then you try to squeeze them tighter into each other, see if that then didn't get you to squeeze your buns tighter too, okay? And then press the elbows from the floor. If that's too aggressive, move the hands forward a little bit. I saw, and I don't have my little blocks in here, release and relax for a moment. So many of you have your Eric's pads, and I know that Marlene just told me that she just ordered hers, and I think she got it, and I know for sure that Sandy has one, and I want to say that Peggy has one too. But if you don't have an Eric's pad, don't worry about it. Do you have a yoga block? You could use that. We're going to go into the next degree of stretch. It's still modified, but instead of our elbows being on the floor, I want you to get either your Eric's pad or your yoga pad. You could use your pillow if your yoga block is too far away from you, then just grab a pillow, right? Just propping your elbows up on a slightly higher position starts your movement with a greater intensity. Okay, so you should already feel like maybe you're at your end range with this. Here we go. Shoulders out of the ears. Not only do we depress, you're then going to try to tuck the shoulder blades in towards the middle. Go ahead and fire up your buns. Try to bear down really firm, elbows into your cushion, because that gives you the lifted trunk that you want, and just hang out here. So the thing about our support is, as we're trying to teach our body this like back bend position, we can just keep leveraging ourselves by putting a higher block under us. All right. We're not letting the hips lift off the floor. So try to keep your hip bones down. We're trying to teach this like back body bend, and just hang out for a few more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. And now ease yourself down. Move your pillow. All right. Bring one leg up to its figure 4. Something we're going to do with the leg, instead of letting it be way opened where the foot is way away from the other leg, I want you to close in so that your foot is touching, hopefully somewhere along the inner thigh of the other leg. So whether it's above the knee, at the calf, wherever you can get the connection, because that junction right there at the groin is what we're going for on the bent leg. Okay. When you pull this leg up and now it's bent, you might also go, yeah, and now my hips are cockeyed. For me, as I lay here, I can definitely feel like I'm heavily loaded on the hip, the front of the hip of the straight leg, right? So how do we squeeze our buns? Right? Maybe you prop yourself up on your elbow for a second and you look at the screen and go, what is she getting ready to do? How do we get this knee to slide further away, but yet still keep our foot touching the leg, the straight leg, right? Unchecked, your hips will really be rolled to one side, and you'll have a lot of space between the body and the floor here. So we're going to pelvic tilt as if I'm standing at your bent leg knee, and I'm gently tugging that knee away with buns tight, and then you're propped up on your elbows. And you just try to keep shimmying and settling in, right? Wow. Isn't that a challenge? You're on elbows, your body is in that modified Cobra, really, really tight buns, and it might be that the foot no longer wants to touch the other leg. Do the best you can and try to keep taking this hip here on the bent leg and press it towards the floor. Ooh, holding for 5, shoulders out of the ears, 4, 3, 2, and straighten the leg, release the body. As you bring the leg back together, let's let our hands overlap. Your forehead is resting on your hands and you're just rolling the hips a little bit from side to side. Your legs can be bent, they don't have to be straight, right? And you're just swishing. Let everything release and relax. Okay, leg number 2. Pull it out to the side, get it tightly bent. Because this is not a stretch that we do with any frequency, you might really struggle getting the knee up and the foot connected to the other leg. Okay, so now if you can get that far, and if you can prop yourself up on your elbows, that's your ideal. Once you get on your elbows, start by setting your shoulder position, right? And then maybe you even turn your head and look at your knee because you want to prove to yourself by you watching that leg slide away from you while you're making your adjustments through the hips. Oh, lots of ways to stretch the inner thigh. And I want to say it was our last Thursday class, I had us doing a single leg frog stretch where we had our knee on our cushion and the other leg straight. That would be a really good stretch to follow this one up with. So we're going to go there. Okay. So as you're in your position, your elbows are bearing down into the floor. Try to keep that knee sliding. Do pelvic tilting. We have the pelvis can get itself not only tweaked from a right to left position, it can be tweaked from a right hip forward, left hip back, right hip cocked to the side. Like sometimes we can be so cockeyed and not even realize it until we do something like this and go, what? Like there's so much restriction there, right? And release. Before we go into the next inner thigh stretch, we're going to settle down the same way we came out of leg number 1. Get the legs both back on your mat. Rock the hips. Let your forehead rest on your hands. If you didn't bend your legs last time, then just take your straight legs, right? Bend them back, and then let the hips swish side to side. There is the windshield wiper stretch that we did with our feet on the chair. This is another version of it. Okay. 5 more of these little swings. You might even feel a little bound up across the back of the SI joints when you're doing this. Okay. 3, 2. I hope you're learning release and relax. I hope the terminology, IT band, SI joint, inner thigh, like inner thigh, that's a no-brainer, right? But your SI joints are those bony things back there at the top of the hip. And sometimes they're just sensitive. So if you have a nice squishy pillow, it could even be your yoga block, right? That is what you're going to want to put your knee on. Okay. But it's not just to kneel on it. You want to get on the inside of it, and then the other leg is going to work itself to straight. Depending on how much of a split you want to do will determine whether or not your foot is on carpet, your towel, right, or your mat. Okay, so the Airex pad is just long enough. If you put your knee right at the front edge of the pad, right, and the pad's going longwise back, that the foot can also rest on the pad. The inside of that ankle is what you want on the pad. And if what you're feeling is so massive and it's really hard for you to hold yourself up, then close the stride just a little bit, and you can always come down on your elbows, right? So it is a easily manipulated stretch, right? Okay, so here we go. There's some fine tuning points. Look at your bent leg. Hopefully the ankle is tracking in line, straight down, straight back from the knee, right? And the foot is turned out and it looks like a frog leg. And then now we're going to look at the straight leg. Here's where you have to be really careful with the knee. This knee, you want to tighten up your quadricep and try to roll the knee back. We don't want the leg. I can't even do it because it's so uncomfortable. You don't want the knee to be collapsing. Okay. So if you can't get the leg straight, you may have your foot too far in that span. I'd rather you close it up a little bit and control the joint versus compromising. So you figure out, how do we keep pain out of the knee? And it's by you having a really active quad and you trying to take your kneecap and roll it back, holding for 5. Shoulders out of the ears. 4, shift the hips back if you can. 3, even if you're on your elbows, you can drive your hips back. 2, and now ease out of it, right? Knowing that you're going right into leg number 2. Maybe you're not ready to go there, but you're like, okay, I'm just going to sit and take a load off. Like your little hands and wrists, shoulders, all of that should feel like you just did a workout, right? Other side. I did do my workout yesterday on the dock, and man, I was sweating buckets, and that's part of the reason why I like being outside. I actually felt like I felt like when I used to do Bikram, in that hot room, I felt like that's what the environment I was in yesterday. So my workouts on the weekend, believe it or not, generally are at the same time that I do our classes. So on the weekends, more often than not, between 8 and 9 o'clock, I'm out there doing my thing. And I try to get out there while it's quiet and I'm not interfering with, I'm not having to listen to kids have their fun time in the pool. So it's my zen. What do you set yourself up? Straighten the other leg. All right, here we go. So as your body is now starting to acclimate, I hope, to this position, your foot, here's what will help you with the knee on your straight leg. In order to get the knee to not collapse, we need to take the bottom of our foot, okay, and try to roll your pinky toe to the floor. So you're pushing, and that is what helps you pull that knee away from the mat and fire up the quad. All right, check out your bent leg. Get the knee tracking in line. Once you have load on this foot and your hands, you can raise that knee and do a little settling in. I never said it was going to be easy, but settling into the right position where you're not on your kneecap. And start your little rock. Come down on your elbows if you need to. For me, I've changed my wrist load, so now I'm in fists, right? Think about a bulldog, right? Right? So push into the floor, like you're really got this powerful press position here. And now rock the hips back, look at your straight leg, try to roll your pinky toe towards the floor. Wow, that stretch is incredible. There we go. A few more seconds. Shoulders out of the ears. Walk into it. Ooh. Release and relax. Have a little sit down. So I'm just going to sit on my cushion here. There we go. Relax the hands. So getting into my workout yesterday, knowing that I went out with the intention of incorporating a couple of these mobility rolls into my workout, you know, I never know. I never really know if it's gonna if I'm gonna be able to do it, because they're not aggressive, but it's like contorting your body in a way that very much like the golf did for me on Saturday was foreign to my body. So there's a learning curve. Hopefully you're sitting on something, whether it's your yoga block or a nice squishy pillow. It's just to let that hip drop off. So if you are using your pillow, you only have it under the bun that goes with this forward leg. Your forward leg, maybe it has to be straight. This is a great modification to getting this action opened up. Okay, so we're thinking, why don't we all do it? Straighten the front leg that goes with the bun that's on the cushion. Immediately, you'll feel your hips kind of settle in a different way where it should seem less stressful, still significant. And now, if you're able to pull your body away from this front leg, what do we use? We're going to use our hands. Wow. Can you feel it? Right here, stretching. Maybe it's this back knee. Maybe you can't have your leg really tightly bent. If it's way open angle, you're going to feel a very strange, like cramping in that hip, which is not going to feel good. So the more you can get your leg bent, the better. And if you have to totally work out of it, if that bent leg, I'm giving you options, and I'm going to go back to my trailing bent leg. If, however, you cannot get your leg bent behind you, then I just want you to do an entirely different stretch, period. You'll cross over and you'll just hug and hold that leg, trying to get the piriformis stretched, okay? But if you can keep your leg bent, look at your foot. If your foot is pointed out like it was when we did our frog stretch, for this stretch, it's not going to be. For this stretch, we're going to try to align the foot straight back so that everything is tracking straight back. Okay. And now here you go. Your hands get to guide you. Just lean back. Take your front leg, bend it. That gives you so much more control here. Okay. Look what I'm doing. We don't have to keep our knee on the floor. As soon as you lift your knee, you should feel like you're getting a very significant stretch across the top of the foot. Put it back down. Stretch gets less. Lift it up. When you lift it up, like let your body weight go back with it. Ooh, put it down. Lift it up. Put it down. Now, everything okay in there? Right? Release and relax. Relax the hands. Bring the legs to the front. Shake them out. Maybe you were able to do all of that. And maybe when we go into this side, can you bend your legs? Right? Only the butt cheek of the forward leg is on the pad. We're just letting gravity, by not supporting the other bun, you get to let this knee slide away from you a little bit so that the hips kind of go plop. And you see, like, even though there's a little bit of a glare, I can get a pretty good reference of me. So though I'm all cockeyed here through my hips, what it does look like to me as I'm looking at myself, it looks like I'm pretty squared here. So I don't even have to worry about this. This is just a naturally occurring stretch based on I'm letting gravity open the hips. Okay, the next phase, straighten the front leg. And now a little bit more is happening. Okay, I'm going to check out my back leg. I could keep pulling my back leg back and back and back, right? That's fine. You try that if you want to. If you can't get into the back leg being bent, forget about it. Just pull it across and go into squared hips and then hook up for the piriformis stretch, okay? If you want to stay with me, you're going to let the foot or encourage your foot as you're looking at your limb to try to get the toes flat and tracking forward. Maybe you're able to take your hips now and slide them over, right? What does it take to get flat? It's intense. Here we go. Bend the front leg, put your hands back if you're here with me. Raise the knee, put it back down. Raise the knee, don't get hung up, right? In super uncomfortable position, right? Up and down the best you can. Because you can always straighten the back leg. You do not have to subject yourself to the same amount of time that I'm going for. Maybe you just dabble and you're like, okay, that's all I can handle today. So you go ahead and straighten it. We're all going to straighten it. Here we go. Float out of it. Give the legs a little shake. Shaky shake. All right, a few more seconds. We are going to go to the ball. Yay. So you all know that the ball is like one of my favorite gadgets to use. All right, take your time, get yourself up. The ball walkout. So we're going to be just continuing to open front body. Give yourself, I would say having your mat down is probably the biggest help for you so that you don't have to fight to get yourself back up. And each walkout, you get to pick where's your stop zone. Where does it feel good for you to kind of just start your walk? Knowing that your head is heavy, maybe you immediately slide one hand behind your head to help keep your chin tucked, and then you just let your hips draw down and push back. Keep holding your head. As the body starts going, oh, wow, my hips feel loosey-goosey, my knees feel good, right? You can just start making your movement just a little bit bigger. If you're able to get this other arm as part of your, included in your stretch, then push it back. Can you straighten your legs without feeling like you're going to fall off the ball? And then bend them. Now, I know for me that it feels really good for me to put both hands behind my head, right? And on my pushback, I don't have to let my chin stray from my chest, but I can, and I can open back and just let the weight of my head, right? Because it's supported, create more stretch. And now keep your eyes open. Sometimes when we're pushing back, like the tendency is to close your eyes, but that will also alter your balance ability. So keep your eyes open. Don't worry about straightening your legs unless you're so confident, right, that you are able to squeeze your buns in conjunction with straightening your legs. And now roll down. You're going to do one more. Rock it back. This is where having a big ball is actually super beneficial because it gets you more bowed body. As you draw down, gently raise your head, eyes are open, you're going really slow, like you're doing this like super slow crunch. And I want you to think about what you just did with this huge opening position of stretching your body over the ball. And then remember that when we were face belly down, arms propped up on our cushion, we were trying to do Cobra. So we're Cobra and this open position, they're opposite stretches. One's front body, one's back body, but still what's getting moved is our spine is going into flexion and extension. And it's really important that when you think about, stand up and I'll continue the story. You're off your ball. So when you think, if you ever think about chi, your body's chi, okay? Your circulatory system and how your body and how energy flows through your system without getting like hung up in tight joints, that's kind of like chi. So we want our body to just be as fluid as it can be so that we have really good chi, okay? Standing on one foot. Well, this isn't balance. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. You're going to have both legs engaged. I want you to think hamstring stretch. You're going to think hamstring stretch for the trailing leg. So you see how my feet are not in a straight line? They're offset. Push your fanny back into the trailing leg and just let your body start coming forward. Now, I'm going to turn to the side so you can see the angle because that makes a big difference, right? Feet offset. Back leg is loaded, spine is long. Just the simplicity of being in front leg. Your body's going to brace on that front leg. Wow. You should feel that stretch running all the way up the rump. Okay. Few more seconds. Now, if all we did was switch the bent leg, wait for it. Okay. So try to take your back leg, bend the back leg, straighten the front leg, and let the hands again settle onto the bent leg. You might be able to go lower and get elbows down, and now you should feel a stretch on the hamstring of the other leg. And yet we didn't move the feet. Ready? Come up. Switch the bent leg. Back leg straightens, front leg bends. Put your hands or your elbows on the front leg just to help you offload some of your back weight so that you're not rounded. If you're in rounded spine, you're probably not going to feel anything. It's only when you clean up your posture and get into tabletop that you're able to feel it. And now, without making too much of a fuss, switch the bent leg. This, believe it or not, is really challenging for people to go into this alternating bent leg, right? And you're shifting the hips, but this is all part of what I consider mobility, and it looks a little silly, but holding your trailing leg is bent, the forward leg is straight, elbows or hands are pressing down into that bent leg. I'll say that if you really have your spine long and you've got this front leg, toes flat to the floor, that you should be feeling a little stretch across the top of your foot too. If you want to really experience something, gently pick the toes up on that front leg and tell me that that did not just transfer all the way down to your little calf on the front leg. Toes down, soften both legs, go ahead and cat back stretch, rolling yourself up. Whew. Ready? Switch feet. So now, just for the sake of your experiment and your mobility, in an alternating pattern, you might even put your hands on your hips. All I want you to do is look down at your legs, and I want you to watch them alternate from one bent, one straight, the other bent, the other straight. Bent straight, bend and straighten, bend and straighten. See how weird that feels through the ankle, through the hips, right? And now you're going to take your back leg, keep it straight, bend the front leg, Shove the hips back so that you get loaded into the heel of the back leg, and then you prop yourself up with as much arm support as you need so that you don't feel it in a strange way in your back. Ready? Front leg is going to straighten, back leg bends. Move your arms to the bent leg. Wow. Shoulders out of the ears. Take the toes on your front foot. Lift them. Ha. Put it back down. Move the hands. Bend the front leg. Straighten the back leg. When you bend the front leg, try not to project your body forward. You want to lean back. Shoulders out of the ears. Ready? Straighten the front leg, bend the back leg, move the hand to the bent leg, shove the hips back. You're a nice tabletop spine, and look at your toes. Peel the toes up from the floor. Ha! Push them back down. Do one more. All right, front leg bends, your hands go to that front leg. Instead of leaning forward and changing the angle, I want you to sit back into the heel of your trailing foot. Try to keep your spine long. Last position, switch the bent leg, move the hands to it. Take that front foot, gently lift the toes. Oh, put them back down. From right here, round your spine, belly to spine. The chin gently tucks to your chest. Pull yourself up, squeezing the buns. Lift the arms, full inhale. Exhale. Do one more. Lift and breathe. Release and relax. Right now, your chi is good. Go have fun with your good chi. Have a great day, you guys.